The Faith and Fishing podcast is sponsored by 413 Lure Company. 413 Lure Company is a family-owned and operated business that puts Christ first and does things the right way. Using really high-quality components, they make some really awesome spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, bladed swim jigs, and more in some really sweet color combinations. Check them out on Facebook to see what they can do and place your order today. Welcome to the Faith and Fishing podcast, where you get to hear all kinds of fishermen tell their stories and share their faith. I'm your host, Cam Steele. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Faith and Fishing podcast. This week we'll be finishing up our interview with pastor, fisherman, and health coach Jeff Hodge from Nashville Church of the Nazarene. You can give the podcast feedback on facebook.com/faithandfishingpodcast, Instagram at faithandfishingpod, or through email at faith@gmail.com. And I'd love to know whether y'all like splitting up long episodes like this into two parts, or if you would prefer to have them as one episode. So let me know. For now though, let's jump right back into our interview with Jeff Hodge. This has really become my favorite question of the whole interview so far. Gotten some really great answers, but what fishing story or memory means the most to you?
Oh, means the most. I would say there are two stories, but the one that means the most is probably I had just become a youth pastor, full-time youth pastor with my at a church in Indiana where my senior pastor was a big fisherman, and he's the one that would take me on Monday mornings. He'd pick me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I remember it was just a dreary day. It picks me up and it's kind of snowing and spitting rain a little bit. We take off and we go up to Berrien Springs, Michigan from Muncie, Indiana. We drive all the way up to Berrien Springs, Michigan. And it's about a 3-hour drive to get there. And we get out on the river and we're at the St. Joe River, and we're going upstream. And as we get to our spot, we anchor right out front of this creek bed that flows into the St. Joe River. And so we anchor there, and then he has a friend that comes up and anchors a little bit in front of us. And how things change in a blink of an eye. We're fishing, and the way I fish, I love fly fishing. And before I moved there, I would fly fish for steelhead. And so I tie a fly on the end of my rod, and I just kind of lob cast it up with a weight up into that creek bed, and I drift it out of that creek bed and down in front of us. And as I'm doing this, we're talking and just talking about the Sunday before and the sermon. And as I do this, I hook into one and I find it for just a few seconds, and then I stop. Now I'm sitting in the front of the boat. It's still dark out. I got a cooler next to me, and I got a lantern, a gas lantern that is going so I can see in the front of the boat. And then there's a step down to the back of the boat. It's got a bass tracker, or not a bass tracker, but a tracker boat, 16-foot view. And as I take my rod and I pull it back out of the water, and as I do this, the salmon literally jumps into the front of the boat and literally lands at my feet, and it just lays there. And I'm like, it's in the boat. It's in the boat. The fish just jumped in the boat. And finally, the guy in the other boat, a friend, Mike, he goes, well, get it. And like, I'm too busy talking about how it jumped in the boat. And he says, get it. So instead of reaching down and grabbing it with my hand, I do a dumb thing. I take my foot. Now here's this brand new fresh fish. It hasn't had to fight or anything, and it's just laying there in the boat. And I go to put my foot on it first. And as I do, this fish goes nuts, hits the cooler, knocks my lantern over, breaks the lantern down at the bottom of the boat where my pastor is, and it's just flopping all over the place. we're trying to put out a fire in the boat, and we're trying to grab this fish at the same time. And we stopped and we got it again. And we put the fish in the live well, put the fire out, picked up the glass shards and everything. And we just sat there and laughed about it. And the crazy thing is, it just kind of reminded me that, in life, you might be fishing, you might be trying for something. And a lot of times we try way too hard to attain a goal that we try to get. When all we have to do is just realize that a lot of times God will just give us what we need for that time, and we get to learn from it. And that's one of the stories that just cracks me up. I tell it to everybody, and it's such a far-fetched story. A lot of people are like, that didn't happen. I'm like, yeah, it did. I have 3 other witnesses that knows that happened. And so, that's my funniest story, best story, that I think I've ever experienced. And then, and that, I know that's not bass fishing, but that was salmon fishing. But yeah, that's it. That's the story.
I hear you. That's awesome. So, up in Michigan, what kind of salmon were you catching?
There, you can, steelhead salmon, coho, are the ones that really run in the rivers up here, in the lower part of Michigan. And some king salmon, run in the rivers up here. And so you can catch, anywhere between, 20, 24 inches, a steelhead or salmon, all the way up to, I think the longest one I've caught was a 38 inch, like 15 pound, coho, or I'm sorry, steelhead, that I caught. That's such a beautiful fish and beautiful rainbow colors on it, especially when they come in fresh out of the lake. A lot of fun to catch.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds really fun. All right. So, another fun question. Whenever you're out fishing with a fishing buddy, what is your typical conversation centered around?
Normally, just life. How life is going, the things, and normally the people that I go fishing with most of the time are other pastors on our area, around our area. I got a great group of pastor friends that love the outdoors, and so a lot of times we hunt and fish together. But going out, I love going out fishing with anybody, and so a lot of people I go fishing with, we just talk about life and what's going on in their lives, and children. I have one child; she's 23 now, and just recently got engaged. So I imagine as we go into the summer fishing with people, that'll probably be part of the conversation there. Children and getting married and having them having families, and so that's normally it's about family. Conversations always revolve around family.
Absolutely. So, what life advice do you wish you had been able to start off with?
Oh man, I think the best advice that I got, and I try to share with people, is that a lot of times when adversity strikes, it seems like human nature. I know this happened for me. We think we have to quit what we're doing and make immediate changes, and sometimes we are forced into that. When my dad passed away when I was 14, I was the only one left at home. My next oldest brother was in college. My 2 sisters were um, out of school and married, and then my eldest brother was a coach at a university, and so I was the only one at home, and I really felt that I needed to. I made a decision at the funeral that I was going to quit playing sports and go get a job and help my mother out at that time. And my sister-in-law says, you can always do that, but, really feel that you need to continue to do what you're doing and make those other decisions later. See what takes place. And a lot of times in the midst of adversity, we tend to make the, quick, a quick decision, without really thinking through things and allowing, God to really speak to us in what we should do. We tend to just make those quick decisions, without really thinking things through or allowing God and His Spirit to speak into us what we should do.
All right, so let's flip that around just a little bit. And what fishing advice do you wish you had been able to start off with?
Oh man, I really feel like a new beginner, bass fishing. I wish I'm 52 years old and I feel like I'm just learning how to bass fish. And so I wish I had someone that could really help me understand, the lay of the land when it comes to bass fishing, the time of the years, the right colors, the right, lures. The last 2 years when I bass fish, it seems like the only lure I use is like a Cinco worm or a fancy worm and Texas rig in it. That's what I've been able to catch my fish on. This year, I'd love to be able to expand my horizons and use different types of lures and, maybe a frog or a chatterbait or a jig, just to be able to learn the conditions and the type of lure to use, to get, have success in fishing. So I guess the advice would be to be able to, somebody could teach me and how to be able to do that.
All right. And all right. So, what fish sits at the top of your bucket list of fish to catch?
Oh, top of my bucket list to catch. Man, I don't think I really have a fish that I really desire to really go after. I would love to, um, I think I would love to take a charter out and do some, deep sea fishing, of some sort, but I don't know if I really have a bucket list, to catch. Man, I can't, that's a great question. I have to think about that one. I don't really have that fish out there that I desire to catch. So I can't answer that question.
All right. Well, maybe you can answer this next one. And is there a fishing spot on the top of your bucket list?
Oh, Alaska. Alaska
Absolutely.
for sure. I would love to go, fly fishing in Alaska or steelhead or salmon fishing in Alaska. Watching, shows where guys go, fishing in Alaska with, that's just, about 5 years ago, I went on a trip out to Montana to the Bighorn River and did fly fishing for a few days out on the Bighorn River, little Bighorn River there. And that was awesome. Just to do a float fishing down that. But I think fly fishing or salmon fishing in Alaska would just be, something I would love to do.
For sure. One of my favorite books, A Fly Ride of Your Own by John Gurick, and if I'm mispronouncing that name, I'm sorry, but he is a book of short stories, his fishing stories, and a lot of those take place in Alaska. And if that book doesn't get you wanting to fish in Alaska, nothing will.
Oh, really? I'm going to have to write that book down. It sounds like a good book to read.
Absolutely. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
All right, so we are going to move into a segment here. It's pretty self-explanatory by the name. It's called What's Your Favorite? So I'm going to ask you some questions about what's your favorite in different categories, and here we go.
All right.
All right, so do you have a favorite scripture?
Oh yeah. It would be that Ephesians 3:1 passage. Seek the things that are above where Christ is seated, and set your mind on things that are above. That is, over the last several years, that's been my favorite passage to study. I probably go and study that passage. Colossians chapter 3 verses 1 and 2. I probably study that passage, Colossians and Philippians, Paul's letters, probably 2 or 3 times a year. I read through those. So yeah, Colossians 3:1.
For sure, for sure. So, do you have a favorite parable or Bible story?
Yeah, my favorite parable is the favorite parable is Luke chapter 15, the prodigal. It's a parable in which you really see the love of a dad, of a father, of Father God, and where I get this picture of, his son, even though his son is saying, "Hey, I wish you were dead. I want my inheritance now." He gives him his inheritance. He runs and he squanders it all. But to me, dad is always on that porch, looking. Is my son coming home today? Where's my son? And, what a picture of the father. He's always there waiting for that person to come home. And the cool thing is that, he's not waiting, for that son or that child to come back and grovel and, to be brought back in the home. No, as soon as he sees his son, he runs and after his son and grabs hold of him and embraces him and restores him back into the family. There's no groveling. There's no, I want to hear your apology first. There's none of that. It's just, hey, welcome home. You are home again. You're back in the fold. You're back part of the family. And that is just a great representation of God's love for us.
Definitely. So, what's your favorite fish to catch?
Right now, I love bass fishing. Um, it's funny because for the last month, in the corner of my living room, my wife was getting tired of it. She says, "Can you get this out of here?" All my tackle was spread out across the living room. I had tackle boxes, little Plano boxes full of tackle, and I was going through and organizing, getting ready for this year. I have had the itch. It's been in the 40s here for the past month, and I've had this itch, to get out and get the kayak out, to get it ready and just get all my stuff ready so I can get out on the lake and go fishing. And so, um, man, bass fishing has just become a passion for me. And, just to relearn how to bass fish and all the different lures out there. And I can't wait to get out on the lake.
All right, so bass is your favorite fish to catch. Is that also your favorite to fish for?
Favorite to fish for right now? Yeah. But really, um, the fish I really love to fish for, is my email is steelhead. And so I love fishing for steelhead, fly fishing for steelhead. And even now, fly fishing for panfish. I picked that up again last summer, fly fishing for panfish. But, if I had my way, I would be out fly fishing for steelhead whenever the opportunity arose.
I hear you.
And really, the opportunity is there. My in-laws live about 3 blocks away from the St. Joe River in Indiana. And man, I could be out on that every time I go visit them. I could be out on that river fly fishing if I wanted to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I haven't gotten into fly fishing yet. I just not too long ago finally got comfortable with a bait caster and got over the frustration of learning that. So I'm going to save the frustration of learning something else for later.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm still learning how to use a bait caster, so I get it.
All right. So what's your favorite fish to eat?
Favorite fish to eat? I would say salmon. Again, salmon it seems like you can cook it up in so many different ways. It's probably the most healthy fish for you. My wife is a health nut. Man, she makes sure that I eat healthy and has really got me into another aspect of my life is not only spiritual coaching, but also health coaching. And so we've become health coaches and helping people learn how to eat right and, just be overall more healthy, in their eating. So yeah, I would say salmon.
All right. I may end up having to ask for some advice on that. That's an area of my life that I really struggle with. So.
You know, a lot of people do, and I did for a number of years, you know, I tried all the different fad diets and what I ended up learning from, somebody who, I'm a person that likes to be coached. And so, I asked someone to coach me in this area that, was really as a nutritional expert. And so she did and has really changed my thinking on a lot of different things in concerning my health. And so, it's been a big thing. I've lost a lot of weight doing this. So it's, and feel a lot better too.
Absolutely. So while we're on the subject of food, what's your favorite fishing snack?
Favorite fishing snack. Oh man, if I'm out on the water, I have, um, there are these chocolate mint bars that I get that I think are my favorite. I take them out on the water with me, put them in a pouch in the cooler so the chocolate doesn't melt. And, water and a chocolate mint bar is probably my favorite, snack to eat.
Absolutely. Is there a particular brand?
No, not a particular brand. It's just,
As long as it's
oh man,
chocolate and mint.
yeah, no, I can't even, right now. It's not, it's just part of the food package that I get, that we
Okay.
make up and what we get each month, in our health program that we have. So, um, I think it's just called, um, chocolate mint bar. Double chocolate mint bar is what it is.
Okay. Absolutely. So, I'm not going to ask for any specifics or ask you to give away any secret spots, but what's your favorite body of water to fish on?
Oh, favorite body of water. You know what? The lake that we go to the most is a lake here in, just outside of Kalamazoo, Michigan, called Indian Lake. And, we go down there and we kayak that quite a bit. And, there's a nice little creek that runs out of it and, runs into it. And so I love fishing them out, the water, the entrance into that creek. And, and also that lake has a lot of, grassy areas around it that if you like the crappie fish, you can do some good crappie fishing there. And, it's got a wide group of fish in that. It's got your panfish, your largemouth bass, your rock bass, your crappie, it has it's a good bluegill lake as well. And then also it's got northern pike in it. And so, it's a good northern pike fishery as well. So right now I would
Absolutely.
say Indian Lake.
All right. Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to catch a northern yet. I've caught chain pickerel a lot though, so they're
Oh, okay.
fun.
All right.
Like,
Yeah, northern, man, I hooked into, in my kayak, I was throwing a lipless, lipless crankbait. And, I think it was a sexy shad and along a lily pad, on the edge of a lily pad. And I hooked into a northern in my kayak, and man, we went for a ride. My anchor wasn't in very well, and that thing took me for a ride for a little bit, but it was like a 24-inch northern pike, and they fight so differently than any other fish. You know, salmon, they'll run on you. Bass, they'll run and jump on you. Northerns, they dive on you. They dive and go, and that's how you know you got a northern on, is that fish will just dive and and just pull that rod down. And that's a fun fish to catch.
all right. So, last but not least, what is your favorite time of year to fish?
Favorite time of year, I would have to say the fall. Just being out on the lake, and up here in Michigan, we have like I said, we have the Thornapple River, that runs through our area here in Southwest Michigan. And, we're able to go and drift, and kayak that river, and just being out there fishing on that river, and looking at, you'll see deer running, across the river, swimming across the river, through the woods, and the color of the trees. I think that's probably the prettiest time to be out on the water, is that time of year. It's just beautiful. And, just being out there in God's creation, and seeing all that He has for us.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. Well, we're gonna start wrapping things up.
All right.
Um, if you would let us know what's upcoming for you and upcoming for your church.
Well, we have, this is a ever changing season right now. Normally we have like 3 or 4 activities planned, coming into the spring here. Here at Nashville Nazarene, we had, Easter, of course, coming up in April. And then, we have also, what we're going to do is, Love Our Village. It's a deal that we have where we go out on a particular day in May and just, serve our community, showing our community that the church is not just a place where you go in and a group of people go, that the church is a living, breathing, active movement of God, where we go out and serve people and serve our community. And so we have that coming up in May, along with, we're going to have a biker blessing, coming up at the end of May. But, with this day and age, and with the virus issue that we got going on, this year, all that stuff is kind of up in the air on what we're going to do. So we're kind of rethinking church, and what church looks like, and what Easter might look like, and how we, as the body of Christ, go and serve. Those are the things we have planned. But man, like I said, it's, all that stuff is up in the air with what's going on. So we have to rethink, how we're going to do this.
Absolutely. All right. So, do you have any supporters that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Supporters, yeah, and, supporter, man, I don't have any supporters, actually. Just the people of our church. We have such a wonderful church. Our church supports, our ministry here in a great way. They're willing to do whatever we need to do to, reach people for the cause of Christ. And, so yeah, the people of our congregation here at Nashville Nazarene, they're a wonderful group of people. And, actually, the people here in this community of Nashville, just a great community, a great group of people. You talk about a group of people that they come together, as a community. That's Nashville. They care for one another, and it doesn't matter what church you're a part of, or even if you're not part of a church here in this community. This community cares for one another, and so it's a great group, a place to live, and a group of people to be around us. So yeah, a shout out to the people of Nashville. What a great group of people.
All right. And if our listeners want to get in touch with you or follow you on social media or learn more about your church, how do they find you?
Oh, we are on Facebook as a church in Nashville Nazarene Michigan. Nazarene is spelled Nazarene. And so you have that. Nashville Nazarene Michigan, our Facebook page. And there you can find our sermons online there. And then also you can get in touch with me with Jeff Hodge or Jeffrey Hodge on Facebook or Instagram there as well.
All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed this, and thank you for sharing your story with us.
Well, thank you, Cam, and I'm glad to be a part of this, and love to do it again sometime. It'd be great.
Thanks again to Jeff for coming on the show and opening up with us. And again, check out his church on social media by searching Nashville Church of the Nazarene. Don't forget to rate, review, and share the episode to help others find the show and to follow the show on social media. Thanks again for listening. Y'all take care, and God bless. Thanks for listening to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. If you like this episode, please give it a rating, a review, and make sure to subscribe on whatever app you're listening to so you never miss an episode. You can follow the podcast on social media at facebook.com/faithandfishingpodcast and Instagram at faithandfishingpod. Special thanks and a big shout out to our show sponsor, 413 Lure Company, to Jonathan Enthalancy for helping me write, play, and record the music for the show, and to Tyler Worrell, the graphic designer behind our amazing logo. If you have any questions about faith, I encourage you to contact a pastor in your community. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, get out there and catch some fish, and I will catch you on the next episode.